Hey guys, Albe here again. This time around the YZ is gonna go through something a little bit more complicated than what I did so far. Today I'm gonna take care of the carburetor itself, and to finish we're gonna take care of the air filter, which is kind of simple. But we're gonna remove the carburetor, we're gonna take it apart, we're gonna clean it up, we're gonna put the OEM original jets back in it, close it up, put it on, and hopefully everything will work just fine. But enough with the chit chat, let's get on it. As we all know, there are three things you need to have an engine run: air, fuel, and spark. We took care of the spark plug last time around, we took care of the fuel tank at the same time as the spark plug. So this time around it's time for the air filter. So I have a fresh air filter over here. We're gonna put it in, but this is easy, so let's move on. The first thing we need to do is obviously shut off the fuel and disconnect the fuel line. Okay, so we're gonna remove that, and because there's gonna be some fuel leaking, we're gonna make sure we have a rag to get that fuel. Next thing we're gonna do is disconnect the throttle position sensor over here. Here we go. Let's unscrew the screw that goes in from the air filter. Once this one is loose, it's time to go for the two up front over here. We really need to get rid of one, but we'll see. Let's see what state are they in. So we're gonna start. The one closer to the carburetor is a 3 millimeters. So I'm gonna go in there. Okay, then I'm gonna loose up the one on the engine side as well, which is a 4 millimeters. And in this bike's case, I'm not sure about the other bikes, is on the other side. Pull the vent lines out of the hole down there. Let's go to the other side and remove the throttle cables. Okay, that is the throttle cable cover. First of all, this rubber boot. Here we go. Second, I'm going to remove that Allen key over there, which happened to be a 4 millimeters. Now, let's see, this plastic cover should come right off. And it does. Okay, this one comes off. At this point we have to remove the throttle cables. Loosen up those with a 10 millimeters. As you guys can see, the cable now is loose over there. I'm gonna slide it that way and pull it off, just like you would on any other cable. Same thing for the bottom. So now that the two throttle cables have been removed, let's go back to the other side. Okay, I'm gonna push the boot back off the front, and I'm gonna try to rotate and remove. It's really tight. Here we go, carburetor is out. I'm not going to show the whole disassemble of the carburetor, because otherwise this would be a 2-hour worth of video, and nobody has that long of a span of attention. So I'm going to start with some gasoline, and I'm going to get a brush and just brush all the dirt off. Then I'm going to start disassemble. Most carburetors are similar. So once you do one, the rest are the same, but they're not completely identical. So what I suggest is, as you're removing parts, just put it aside in the order in which you remove them. Have a system or a method that'll help you to assemble it back together. If you're not sure if you're gonna be able to reassemble it, you might want to take a video of you disassembling it, or take lots of pictures so that you know you have a reference now. Every time you remove one of those screws with a spring that needs a certain amount of rotation to go back in place, well, write it down somewhere, take a note. Sometimes the manufacturer actually gives you the amount of rotations that you need to use to start, to adjust the idle and stuff like that. Now, once you take the jets off of it, make a note of what they look like and the number. So what number jet that is, so that you know what's supposed to go back over there. Another thing is, once you start removing stuff, all the O-rings and perishable, you might want to change them all, even if they're still good, because you're getting into it, and usually the kit comes with every single O-ring you're gonna need, so might as well. So before you start putting it back together, I recommend to grab a compressor and start blowing inside every single hole you can find over there, and clean it up with some more gasoline or some solvent made specifically for carburetors, and then start reassembling everything. Remember, do not tie everything to death. Just make sure that all the screws and jets are in there firm, but they're not over tight. You don't want to strip them. It's a real pain if you strip one of those. So once you reassemble the ball and all the little bits and pieces, what do? You grab them from the layout you used, but instead of putting back the old O-rings or gaskets, you just pick the new ones off the box. Once you do it a couple of times, you'll see it becomes easier and it gets faster. But as fast as you can get, it's not a 5-minute job. If you take apart the carburetor, clean it, and put it back together, it's probably going to take you about an hour or so. And once you're done, double check everything, and mostly make sure you didn't forget anything. So all those little screws, springs and O-rings, if you have anything left that is not old and wore out, well, there's a problem. So I got all the lines in. Those two older ones I'm gonna replace later on. Let's go put on the bike. Before we put the carburetor back on, let's replace the air filter. I got this one that is pre-oiled. You just have to swap it up. What I'm gonna do is the one that it's on the bike right now, I'm gonna remove it, put it in this bag, and when I get time I'm gonna clean it and oil it. And next time around, I'm gonna swap them. So I have two of them. The bike is never gonna be down for the air filter because I'm gonna just swap it. But let's remove this one and then install that. When you look inside, there is a single butterfly screw in the center. You just undo that, pull it back, and at this point, the filter itself comes out, no problem. Once you remove the air filter, what you need to do is get the foam part of the air filter off of the plastic part, like this, and you keep this and discard or put this one aside. Then we're gonna get our brand new filter. This is pre-oiled and ready to go. The only thing you need to pay attention in when you do this is that this prong over here goes in the little hole. Once the filter is on, get this part to pop up just like that. Put the washer back on it, and at this point we're just gonna put it back inside the bike. Just screw it back in just like you did to remove it. I'm gonna put the seat back on and moving on. I hope I put everything back the way it's supposed to be. If I didn't, the bike won't start. So easy as that. What we need to do now is plug the position sensor back in, like that, tuck it in the back. Now I'm gonna go on the other side and I'm gonna put the throttle cable back on. Time to put the black plastic cover on it to move the rubber boot back in position. Last thing left to do is open up the fuel, give it a couple of pumps, make sure that nothing leaks. Everything seems to be okay. I'm gonna hop on and try to start it. Let's see if I put everything back where it was supposed to be. It took me a little bit and a few kicks to set the idle properly, but now it starts first kick. It idles properly. It took so many kicks that I had to go and grab my off-road boot. So we are done for today as well. The bike is ready to go and start riding. In theory, I brought the carburetor back to stock. Replaced some of the vent line, replaced the fuel line. For anything I used in this video, check the links down in the description below. If you guys like the video, if you love the video, or if you want to see what else I'm gonna do to this bike, and mostly how fast my off-road game is gonna improve compared to the F800 GS, stay tuned and subscribe. Till then, dirt on, and I'll see you next time.